Welcome back to the Twitch Player Lounge, where we're doing interviews over the course of the day. And we've got another surprise, which I wasn't expecting. We've already had that in the form of Phantom Lord. It's another League of Legends surprise. It is Cowtard from Copenhagen Wolves, who, well, I won't guess. I'll ask you. What are you doing here? It's nice to see you.
Well, we're doing some sponsor works, representing Cooler Masters, Steel Series, Komplett. I mean, our main sponsors.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, you must get to a few Dreamhacks, though. You've been to a few in your time?
I've been to a couple of them at least. I mean, to the Dreamhack Bucharest, if nothing else. But we were here last year as well and won the tournament, League of Legends tournament.
So, yeah. I mean, I always love to come here, and, you know, it's such a great event. Have you been doing any of the player signings? Have you got any of that scheduled yet, where, you know, where the fans can get your autograph?
Well, we've been, like, doing it at the... at our booths as well, like just walking downstairs, taking photos with whoever's standing around, writing some autographs at least. Mm-hmm. So, awesome. a bit at least.
Well, look, it can't all be fun. Well, I've got to ask you some difficult questions, because that's what I do, right? And for good or bad. And it's been an interesting season so far for Copenhagen Wolves. I've been a big fan of the team. I watched the brand, you know, rise up. I've seen you guys be in and out of the league, you know. It's they're a team I've got a lot of respect for, and I know a lot of your managers. So it's sad to see you guys at the bottom of the table right now. You play in the team, so you can tell me why's that happened?
Well, for starters, it's really hard adapting new players into the team overall, especially with the high level that LCS is. I mean, I think we have been doing a bit of a bad job adapting overall. We have not been on the same page, everyone in the team. Our communication has been a bit off. And I feel like our practice schedule might not have been the best in the past. We're trying to improve all of these things, obviously. And we're probably going to try some drastic changes as well, like what hours we're actually going to play. Well, maybe even adjust our sleeping schedules.
Yeah, I mean, it's I can't put my finger on it. I watch your games, and it seems to be in some of them you get a very good lead, and then you can't make that snowball into a win. And then in other games, you start out badly, and then it looks like you're going to get back into it, and then something will happen, like just one decision, and it'll turn it up on its head. Do you think it's maybe a shot calling issue within the team or anything like that?
I think a bit of it is the shot calling itself, because our shot calling is really off, and well, we're really slow in the decision making and to decide what we're actually going to try to make happen in the game. However, a lot of these issues are also us not following our own calls. Like, we can set up a plan, and then halfway through it, we're like, nah, this plan is not good. Let's try something else. And then you just get these half decisions that they don't really work out as you want them to. So, I mean, that's a big issue as well.
What about in terms of which one of you is the captain? Because you've got some very interesting personalities in your team. And I've known Joey a long time, Youngbuck, you know, quite a while. Which one of you assumes the role of leadership in the team? Who's the guy who's like going to override everybody else? You know, if it's got to be one person's decision, who makes it?
Well, overall, Unlimited is trying to make up most of the plans, and also we tried to assign him the role of the voice of reason. Like, if we're about to do something really stupid, we want him to shout us out of it, like tell us, don't do it, just go away, this is not going to work. But other than that, I guess like I would assign him the leader role overall, because he's making most of the plans. I'm trying to help out as well, making a bit as well. Other than that, I think the communication is pretty low, but it's something we're working on as well.
So let's talk about some absent friends. The move with Amazing, I think, was it came out of the blue. I was happy to break that story. But yes, what a shock it was. A lot of people didn't believe me when I said it. And I think, you know, Amazing, you know, he lives up to his name. I thought he was a great, you know, player and a big part of the team. What was going through your mind as a, you know, fellow player when that happened?
Well, I wasn't too surprised. Overall, his results were so well in our team. Even if personally, I gotta say, I feel it was a lot of the team effort, and then he assumed the carry jungle role, which promoted him even more.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wouldn't put it all on him, but I mean, obviously with the scores and with his plays and with the results, I mean, he becomes very interesting. And if they wanted a new younger, I'm not surprised that this is one to look at.
But I mean, again, going to a North American team, it's like, you know, wow. And I think a lot of people were expecting North Americans to pick up foreign players, but maybe Koreans, not so much Europeans, because they, you know, generally like to trash talk us and say that we're all awful players. But I mean, were you surprised? Not that he moved from the organisation, but were you surprised he ended up at TSM?
Well, his ambitions has always been really high, like as far as I know at least, every time I talk to him about it. Therefore, I'm not surprised because TSM was one of the more successful teams in America. And I mean, we did end up in 6th spot, and this was not something he wanted. And he felt a bit down about it, I suppose. And he felt his chances were the highest with the TSM. So,
well, I mean, they've not had a particularly great season themselves. I mean, marginally better than what you're currently experiencing. Have you spoke to him since he's left? Talked to him about how he's settling in over there?
No, I haven't really spoken to him about it, but I have seen a bit of the games, and I mean, he's getting tires banned a lot, like the youngers are getting banned out. Also, I mean, he's adjusting to a new team, and a new team is adjusting to him, so I'm not surprised it's not going too well.
Okay. And of course, that wasn't the only player that parted ways with the organisation. Forgiven. Now, look, I know you're too professional to say anything bad about anyone, and you're just a super nice guy, obviously, but I got to be honest. I looked at some of the things he was saying before he left, when he was kind of tweeting about how, you know, the rest of the team was letting him down when he was winning his lane, and I also saw some of the things he said after he left, and then he had that bizarre, is he with Nip, is he not with Nip trial that lasted a day, and then he made another Facebook post recently, which again implied that you guys were somehow holding him back, even though he's, you know, playing in Greek tournaments now. It must be hugely disappointing for a teammate to have such a low opinion of his colleagues. Was it disrupting the team? That's what I'm asking.
Well, his attitude did affect the team overall. I mean, especially after a loss, you could really feel the negativity, and I mean, there was a lot of trash talk going on, but I mean, I wouldn't hold him responsible completely for it. I mean, his ambitions were really high, and he wanted to do better than we were doing. So, I mean, judging just from his character, I mean, he's reacting in solo queue to losing, then imagine actually losing in LCS instead. I mean, it's just so much worse for him.
Yeah. But again, I mean, you say there was like trash talk and stuff after games. I mean, now I've been a manager, you know, I've managed teams. I've had to intervene when things are getting a little bit heated. But, I mean, were things that bad?
It wasn't horrible, but I mean, directly after games were the worst part, because then you have the, I'm not sure if I should call it adrenaline, but you have the rush from the game itself. And I mean, your feelings are current, like you just had this game and you just lost and you feel like you did something right and it must have been someone else's fault, and then you're just trying to blame stuff and you're trying to find fault. You're trying to just, you're trying to channel your rage against something else. Like you want something to blame. Yeah. And I don't know. You could say some things that are true. You could say some things that aren't true. But I mean, overall, with the negative attitude overall, and with you being angry, it's not gonna come out right.
Yes.
I mean, criticism that is constructive is good. I mean, if you're analyzing the game afterwards, you're watching the game and you're like pointing out things, and this is a bad thing. This should not happen. We need to do this different. We should, for example, do this instead. I mean, that's completely fine. But just saying that was bad, without watching it, you're just saying this situation was bad. The player you're talking to probably has another opinion of it, like what actually happened. Well, maybe even agrees, but still, if you're just saying straight out something is bad, you're gonna get negative responses. I mean, people don't really like being criticized for no reason. I mean, you want to get something out of it, at least.
Did you ever rage? Did you ever get angry?
I got really angry at him at some point because he was trying to point out something that wasn't simply true. And we were arguing about it. And I was just telling him to watch it. And then he actually stopped raging. He watched it and he was like, I'm sorry, you were right. That didn't happen. And then he went on to something else instead. But then his whole attitude got a bit lower down instead. Then he got to a manageable level where he actually tries to find what's wrong and discuss. But I mean, right after the games, it never worked. And personally, I want to say I don't have these moments where I'm raging at other player. I'm normally just responding to something else then. I mean, in solo queue or whatever, I don't remember myself flaming anyone. But I do remember that I sometimes answer people, like if they're being rude to me, I might answer with a snide comment about something they did in the same game or something like that.
So my next question would be, do you want Forgiven to be successful? I mean, right now, it's almost as if that Facebook post I was talking about, it was almost like a retirement post in a lot of ways. He said, if this is it for me and this is the last thing I do, I will be happy with my career. I got to play in LCS, and it had this almost like a goodbye element to it. So I guess, would you want him to still keep playing? Would you like to play against him in LCS if he was on another team?
Well, I'll be honest, and when he put himself so much higher than the team itself, I'm pretty happy he got shut down, because that attitude is a bit annoying to deal with. But overall, I think he's a really good player overall, and if he could just manage his attitude, I wouldn't have any problems with him getting back into the LCS, getting back into a really good team. I mean, playing professionally, because he is a really strong mechanical player.
So let's talk about the future now. I think over the course of this interview, you've actually alluded to some of the problems. You know, like you're talking about maybe changing sleep patterns, schedules, tactics. We're working on shot calling. So you're obviously trying a lot of things to identify the issues within the team, which is very commendable. Have you guys given any thought about, you know, trying out some new strategies, new roles? You hinted at radical changes. So what's that going to be?
No, radical change. We're only talking about sleeping schedule overall. I mean, that
doesn't seem that radical.
You're basically forcing a person to change his day rhythm for a job or whatever. I mean, it's not weird in the normal manner, but I mean, if it's something you have been used to for a long time, you've been doing it, it has been working for you. I mean, it feels weird having to play at other hours overall. But I mean, okay, maybe it's not radical, but it's a...
Maybe I'm speaking... Look, I've never been a pro player, so maybe it is very radical. I absolutely couldn't tell you one way or the other. It wouldn't seem radical to me.
I mean, in my world, it would be like changing from a day job to a night job or something.
Right.
I mean, it completely changes how your day layouts work. But overall, maybe, as I said, maybe not radical then.
Okay, well, what about the overall strength of the European LCS at the moment? I mean, do you think you being at the bottom of the table is a fair reflection of the talent you have in the team? Because a lot of people say it's the weakest right now. Like, NA is strengthened. They took players out of EU and added players from Korea. And you know, that's been a very exciting season. The European games haven't been quite as exciting, I don't think. And I don't know, I feel like this season it's a little bit weaker than last season. What do you think?
I would have to agree in some manner, but you have also seen some teams stepping it up. I mean, Alliance have been playing more dominantly this season than they did before. And I mean, well, SK I would say is about the same level. But also it's really hard to judge just from, well, now it's been like, what, 4 weeks? I think it's pretty hard to judge for, I mean, you have the slumps. I mean, Fnatic last season, they started out with, what, 7-0, and then they ended up losing 7 in a row. I mean, it's up and down, so I wouldn't be surprised to see every team strengthen or some teams strengthen and others weaken. And I think it's really hard to judge until it actually comes to the playoffs. This is, in my opinion, where it shows whose team has the strong mentality, who can prepare for the games, and overall who's actually the best team.
Yeah. Do you think that you guys can really, I mean, climb the table? Like, what are the aims overall? Because I know this, and no player or team will ever admit this, but I know the most important thing is to stay in LCS, and anything else is a bonus. Maybe you get to go to Worlds, great, but the main thing is staying there. That is so vitally important. So, you know, do you guys think you can maybe just do enough to get out? I mean, or do you want it to go higher? Are you thinking you can still go to Worlds? Where's the ambition bar set?
We really want to go to Worlds. Like, there is the ambition level. I mean, overall, we want to end as high as possible in the table. Right now, I would feel that I'm satisfied with actually going into the playoffs, because this gives you the chance to actually go to Worlds. But, I mean, if we set the team's goal, I would say top 4. once again, just like last season. But it might be really hard, especially when we're down this week like we are right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we actually can manage to step up our game, if we actually can play like we want to play, I think it's really possible.
Well, I hope you're right. I've definitely got a lot of respect for you guys, and I like you as a team. I guess my sort of final question would be, who do you think's the strongest team in Europe right now? I mean, you've already talked about Alliance, because we know that table can be a little bit deceptive at times. Fnatic are obviously supremely talented. What's your take as a player?
Right now, I would say Alliance, straight up. Like, their laning phase is really strong overall, and I mean, they're picking up the rotations. I mean, they're showing strength, but even they're showing some weaknesses as well. I mean, they are dropping games now again. I don't remember their score this last week, but I think they dropped one game at least. And this just shows that they're not dominant. They are not definitely the best team that's going to win everything.
Yeah.
But I would put them at #1 right now.
Okay. Well, look, it's been great to talk to you. I must remember to let you do some shout-outs and sponsors and all of that nonsense, because I always forget. So I'll allow you to do that now.
Sure. I'd like to do a shout-out to all the sponsors of Copenhagen Wolves. I mean, the Cooler Master, the Komplett, the Steel Series, and I'm probably forgetting something right now, but yeah, Oboto as well.
I think you've got them. I think you've got them all. Well, look, it's great to see you, and I know you've been feeling a bit under the weather lately, so it's good to see you up and about and looking healthier.
Thank you.
So that's awesome. So thanks a lot for the interview. Take care. Best of luck for the rest of the season. To everyone out there, don't go anywhere. We're going to have more interviews like this one here in the Twitch Player Lounge, and we're going to bring you the very best coverage from Dreamhack Summer. See you soon.